Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to everybody, wherever you are, for this Monday, the 30th of June, live lunch and learn. And today, burnout isn't just costly, it's contagious. And I'm going to share why. So, this is week 2 of a 5-week series of videos and blogs around transforming well-being programs and practices in the workspace. And in the last video last week, I introduced the Wellbeing Curve on how top performers in hospitality, or really any top performers in business, often slide from being thriving down to just surviving and then burning out. And what happens if we catch it too late? Today, I'm going to talk about the cost of that slide. Not just the human cost, but the very real cost in your business. Now, each Monday, I'm here for a live lunch and learn. This is just 15-minute sound bites of something that is valuable within companies. And this 5 series is all about the well-being in organizations. So I represent Professional Pointer Coaching, and here we point high-performing hospitality professionals in a new direction, from silent struggle to the sustainable success, so that you and your team can flourish once more. We specialize in employee well-being and burnout prevention, combining leadership coaching, conscious self-actualization, and transformational breath work to create a real, lasting transformation in yourself and your team. Now, I present a full 7-stage program, which is the Professional Pointer Coaching program. You can see that briefly on the screen here. I've got other videos all about this. This is a 6-month in-depth sessional program, or also dealt with in 5 days as an intense in-house program to take middle management and department heads to the next level, to help them discover the authentic person and leader inside of themselves. But that's not why we're here today. Today, I want to paint a picture. A picture that is a real one that's happening in workplaces all the time. Imagine one day you walk into the office of your team and you look around and it looks like business as usual. But if you actually stopped and took a closer look, you'll see Sarah over there. She's clutching her 3rd cup of coffee because she just never has time to eat. And on the other side of the room, Max, he's hunched over his laptop and exhaustion's just etched across his face. Now, you're used to seeing Max a little bit stressed and frustrated like that, so you think nothing of it. You turn and you go into your office. As you open up your laptop, you're reading your emails, and there's one. It's from Max. He's quit. Max has resigned. He's become a statistic called a quiet quitter. And you wonder, but how have I missed this? Because this is not the first person who's quit unexpectedly in your team. Your heart begins to sink and you think, there's something going on, but I don't know what it is. Could it be that there's this quiet culture that's crept into your organization? It's often unspoken, but very loud. The culture shift from the top down that indicates and gives things that people need to do to perform at a high level can be the things that bury them. Not having a good diet and not sleeping are 2 key criteria for people silently sliding to burnout. Because we push through, we power through. It's what is driven, because in a high-functioning environment, especially hospitality, 24/7, 7 days a week, where things do not stop, but it's costing you. Not only in money, but in real people and real performance. When you ever wonder why we're not attracting the new talent that you seek, why are the Gen Zs no longer accepting it? And they're the ones who leave. And they're obviously and openly blatant about it. Very different from the baby boomers and the 50 and 60-year-olds, where you just get on with it, but it's not the same anymore. So if you had a look and you thought about the high performers, the ones in your team you wish that you could just clone, and if you're saying, I wish I could clone me, I want more of me, well, be careful, because what if you are, unbeknownst, the problem? Where you think that pizza Fridays and bean bags in the canteen is fun and it's going to help with well-being. You realize it's not enough because it's a culture thing. It's a connection thing. It's a people feeling that they belong, seen, heard, and valued is what people want. And that's driven from the culture, not the written culture that's on your website, that's your value statement you tell your clients. It's the unwritten one. And if you're not having a look at it, you'll become and have more people like the Maxes, and you could be one of them as well, where you quietly quit. So you've got a decision point. At some point, you're either going to decide to carry on replacing the quiet quitters at great expense and months in lost productivity, or invest in the team that are there already. The statistics are out. It is known that $1 invested in your team returns $3 to $6. And this isn't just data. It is seen in turnover. It's seen in saving in your bottom line and costs because it lowers absenteeism. You have a higher retention in employees and real productivity increases. So if you had a look at what is the greatest cost, investing in your team, I'm not talking about training programs, sales skills. No. Investing in your people. That's the change. That's a different mindset. We're going to shift that because replacing one employee, especially a high performer, can cost 3 times their annual salary. That's a lot of money. And 9 to 12 months in lost productivity. Then you've got things, that's just the real cost. But what about things like presenteeism, where people turn up and they function, but not to their full capacity, yet you're paying them full salary? What about leadership drift, where strategic thinking disappears, where leaders just survive through a week, but their engagement has dropped? And again, go to the statistics, struggling with that word, statistics, where it's shown that disengaged teams underperform by 18% in productivity, which affects bottom line profitability by 15%. Let's not even talk about the demoralization and disconnection in the team, because perhaps you've noticed how negativity can spread so easily through a department. Let's not even talk about mental health, absenteeism, the reputation risk. Is it not soft and fluffy, tree-hugging stuff, looking after the health and well-being? No! The real expense is not looking after them. Plus, factor in the pressure on leadership, the pressure on the team to pick up on the work that still has to get done after that person has quietly quit. What's easier? Continue to patch the holes or start investing? I know all about this. I've lived it. After 27 years, I became a quiet quitter. I could no longer handle that pressure. It was as if burning out and stress was a badge of honor. If you're not stressed, you're not performing. So we'd wear it like a trophy. Is that what's happening? Is that the culture that you want to deliver? Ultimately, the people are going to break. It may take a few months, a few years, but it's going to happen. So I became a quiet quitter, but I was quitting mentally, psychologically, physically, months before I physically walked out. No one noticed. The performance of the business started to struggle. I walked away. Here's a real statistic that I took at a recent HR conference. I was delivering a keynote talk on the silent crisis in business. And I asked the people, there are existing employee well-being programs working. There's 140 HR professionals. Not all of them participated, but you get a good framework on this. 75% of the audience said that only sometimes or not at all. But the worst statistic came after this one, where I asked them, who here has physically hit burnout due to workplace stress and anxiety? Over half of the audience. That is a scary number. Let's talk about why. Because this isn't just about burnout. There's something deeper. And it took me many months to go and study this, working with high-performing teams and leaders and trying to find out, well, there's a pattern around this. And what I've learned is that burnout is not the key thing. There's something else before this, where people are turning up, because burnout means they're not coming to work. But there's a stage before that. I mentioned it last week on the Wellbeing Curve that I introduced. Go and have a look at the recording. It's on YouTube, on LinkedIn. It's on my community platform as well. And I introduced something called brownout. Now, I've come to call this authenticity brownout syndrome. It signals a disconnection, a misalignment between who you are professionally, how you show up, and the difference between your genuine, authentic state, resulting in quiet disengagement that erodes innovation, breaks down your resilience, and impacts the culture of your organization and your team negatively. In a state of ABS, authenticity brownout syndrome, you shut down innovation. You're not able to see things positively. Physically, we're not built and designed in that stress state to see positive. You can only see negative, not even neutral. So you stop developing new talent, especially new performers who you are meant to be coaching. You just don't. You don't have the capacity, the willingness, the time. They frustrate you. Disengagement becomes a new part, and it erodes morale, not only your own, but your team, because you are leading in a state of survival. You don't have a strategy. Brownout is a highly negative and dangerous, contagious space to be in. And it was restated by Duke University, where after they've studied the state of burnout, what happens before burnout, for 12 years, and they worked out statistically that 26% of burnout is team related. In other words, somebody in a state of brownout, which is the state just before burning out, where you're turning up and you're working, but you're not authentic. That state brings down an entire department. It's like smoke, just quietly creeping throughout. Stress, withdrawal, and silence. So there are 8 key factors. There's more, but these are 8 core ones of the symptoms of ABS. So perhaps you recognize some of these in yourself, where you're feeling drained by the continuous demands 24/7. You're at home, your day off, it's a Sunday, you get an email from your boss, from a client, expectation for you to reply immediately. What about strained relationships with your family and your friends, or the neglect of your personal interests and your personal hobbies, so you never time out? What about difficulty in concentrating on non-business conversations? That was a huge thing for me. Massive. I never understood it at the time. Business conversations, friends and family around the braai, the barbecue, around dinner table, no problem. Anything else? I didn't get it. What about a loss of passion for your work? You're turning up, but you're not fulfilled. Physical signs, weight gain, not sleeping, unhealthy habits bringing in. And it's all driven from a state of inauthenticity. Because in a state of ABS, you're wearing this mask. You're acting in a way that you feel other people are expecting of you. When you wake up, you put this mask on. You turn up and you act in a way. And it's in my definition now, on the other side of this state, is that I was being pulled like an elastic band. On one end was this authentic Tim, and on the other was the stressful existence, and I was fighting. I had to work hard. I had to push more. I wasn't being very productive, but I felt that I needed to do more, and it drew me further and further and further away. Now, in a state like this, there's 2 things that will happen. One, on that silent slide curve, you're going to snap that band, which is burnout. The other is that you're going to let go and result in quiet quitting. That's the stage. But I've got some good news. But this week, I'm not talking about the good news. That's for next week. You see that brownout is not only highly contagious and negative, but well-being is also contagious. Well-being builds trust. Well-being protects your people, protects your profits. So to end on this week, I ask you again, what's easier? To continue accepting quiet quitters and not supporting Sarahs and Maxes in your office who are sitting in a silent state of brownout? Or is it worth investing in them? Investing in the people that you already know within your team. What's easier? What's more profitable? What's going to cost you less? And next week, I'm going to show you how you can take practical, simple tools right immediately to apply to build a culture of well-being so that it's not just theory and woo-woo, tree-hugging stuff. I'm not talking about yoga. I'm talking about detailed, deeper stuff, real actionable steps. So if this has caught your attention, down below there's a link. Click on the link to download my complimentary book, Transforming Workplace Wellbeing Strategies. This is where I'm talking through these. And next week, we're going to talk about actually applying them into your workplace. So my name's Tim Wagner. I'm here, part of Professional Point of Coaching. I make my money by doing keynote talks, workshops, facilitations, and no longer doing weddings and bar mitzvahs. I look forward to hearing